Joining us now is Kelly Darke, a registered art therapist in the Henry Ford Health System in their C.A.R.E program, joining us now on the MegaCast. Kelly, thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that may not have heard of an art therapist before, or art therapy, what is the role of an art therapist and what sort of services does someone like you in this profession provide?
Well, art therapy is a mental health service, and it's a lot like talk therapy. However, we use art and the process of making art as part of that therapeutic process. And in the C.A.R.E program, we have been doing art therapy sessions in person until we weren't able to do that. So we switched to doing things virtually.
We're joined by Kelly Darke. She is a registered art therapist at Henry Ford Health System's C.A.R.E program with us today on the MegaCast. And so what are some of the benefits of art therapy specifically in a mental health program?
Well, art therapy has been proven to reduce stress. It lowers blood pressure, can help regulate emotions, improve self-awareness, self-esteem, among other things.
And so who can benefit from these kinds of classes and services, and what are some different categories of people or different categories of people that may be battling different mental health struggles that may benefit from art therapy?
The classes that we offer online, we've had a number of different people attend, whether they're caregivers, parents. We've even had college students join these classes, and a lot of people they're just really struggling with an overwhelming amount of stress and anxiety. And as caregivers, it's even more anxiety when, the lockdown, the pandemic, we're dealing with all these different things. So that kind of stress can really wear on people. So participating in these classes is one way to really help with the self-care that we need to help reduce that stress. So even joining the classes that, they're about 45 minutes to an hour long. And sometimes that's enough time to at least lower that stress and get you feeling a little bit better for that day.
So take us on a summary of a walkthrough of what a typical art therapy session or art therapy class, as you mentioned, would look like and why it is designed in that way.
So the classes that we're doing through the C.A.R.E program, we've designed them in a way that whoever is participating can do so from home, regardless of what supplies they have. So because we can't give them the supplies when we're not in person, we've designed these so that all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil, markers, or whatever you have at home. And we're doing these with, we call them the creative mindfulness with art sessions. So we've designed them to implement a mindfulness intention that is then worked through with some art activity. So people who join, like I'll explain what the intention is and what the art task will be, and then we work on it for about 15 minutes, and then we come back and discuss the process. So a lot of times the creating the artwork is stress reducing, it's relaxing, and then we come back together and discuss it, and that gives everybody a little bit more support with what they're going through and what has come up with the art.
We're joined by Kelly Darke, a registered art therapist in the Henry Ford Health System C.A.R.E program, joining us today on the MegaCast. And so for you as a registered art therapist, what is your background in art? When did you begin to have art in your life as a passion, and then realize that through your love of art, you could also help a lot of people also?
Well, I've always made art. So ever since I can remember as a child, I've always been making art, and my parents would give me art supplies. So early on, I knew it was a passion of mine. And so after high school, I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Wayne State University. I've been exhibiting artwork in galleries for over 20 years. And knowing how much art helped me personally, when I heard about art therapy as a career, I knew that was something that I would like to pursue, because I felt like the amount of help I received and the joy that I received from creating art, if I could bring that to other people, that just seemed like such a perfect career.
So you've, with Henry Ford Health System's CARE program, you now run a weekly hour-long self-care hour with Kelly. Can you tell us a little bit about that program and what people experience in your self-care hour each week?
Yeah, that one. So we had done a 6-week knitting class online a while ago. And at the end of that class, the participants really wanted to continue it. And so what we did is we shifted it into the self-care hour with Kelly. And what that is now participants who join they're encouraged to bring their current creative project to work on while we talk and support each other. So everyone brings something. They don't have to bring anything. They can just join the conversation. But it's a little bit more casual than a support group, but it is definitely very, very supportive, and everyone really enjoys having that hour to themselves, or together as part of their self-care.
We're joined by Kelly Darke, registered art therapist at Henry Ford Health System's CARE program, joining us on the MegaCast. And Kelly, with all of the different stress factors that have come into play in the last 20 months plus because of the pandemic, and even more recently with tragedies in our local area, such as the shooting in Oxford High School, for a lot of younger people, those stresses can be compounded by simply a lack of life experience to be able to understand, or at least be able to process with some sort of life experience as a reference what they're going through. How can art therapy be potentially beneficial to coping for a child, for a teenager, or for a young adult?
Yeah, that is really important. The art therapy is definitely suited for children and adolescents, because the process itself doesn't always involve talking. And like you said, it can be really difficult to understand the emotions that are going on. And some kids may not have words to describe those feelings and how to describe a traumatic event that they're working through. So working with an art therapist can really help, because the process itself of making the art will help lower the anxiety a bit, so that they can start to process those emotions with an art therapist.
And so when you are working with an individual or working with a group, where is that starting point with both the art element of your art therapy sessions, but also with the therapeutic session of that, and with the counseling side of that as well? Is it a different starting point usually for a therapy session of that kind than for the standard individual or support group format that we typically see?
Well, it's a little, it's hard to say. I think when working individually, if I'm working with, let's say, an adolescent individually, we start with the art materials would be available for them to start working with. So sometimes it's more comfortable and easy for them to just start working on the art before we really get into a lot of conversation around what they're going through. When we have a group, such as the online groups, we have a bit of a format, so that there's the art making, and then there's the discussion portion of it. So it can be flexible, but the talking portion of the online groups tends to bring out the therapeutic part of the artwork that they had been working on.
We're joined by Kelly Darke, a registered art therapist in the Henry Ford Health System CARE program, joining us today on the MegaCast. So your self-care hour with Kelly, it's once a week. It's an hour-long session. Where can people get information on this class to be able to learn more, or if they want to join, how can they go about joining it?
Well, if you go to the henryford.com/caregiver wellness, you'll see a list of the classes there, and you can find the self-care hour and click the link there to register.
And so is this open to the general community, or is it only for patients within the Henry Ford Health System CARE program?
It's actually open to everyone. So it's open up to the community, and you do not have to be a patient with Henry Ford.
So beyond your art therapy sessions, your self-care hour with Kelly, what other programs, what are some of the other notable programs that are available through Henry Ford Health System's CARE program, just to give a little bit of information to people that maybe art isn't the best outlet for them to express these emotions, these feelings, and these coping mechanisms that they need, but knowing that there are other programs also available through CARE.
Well, anyone can call or email the CARE program to get more information or to connect with one of the CARE program specialists to discuss personally what their needs are. And there's a support group, 2 support groups on Tuesdays. And there's one, I think it's at 11 o'clock on Tuesdays, and then also at 6 p.m. So different times for people to accommodate their schedules. But those are 2 of the really important sessions that are offered for people.
Well, Kelly, thank you very much for joining us today. Before we let you go, anything else that would be important for our audience to know about art therapy or about the benefits of a program such as the art therapy program through CARE at Henry Ford?
Well, I just want to reiterate that it's open to everyone, and you do not need any art experience to benefit from these art therapy sessions. A lot of people just find they find out how therapeutic art can be just after participating. And it's a really good idea just to give yourself some self-care time.
Kelly, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.